Roberto De Zerbi quotes to get through today. He's been doing a lot of media, hasn't he, over the past few days? And he was on Men in Blazers, and he was also on a different podcast as well. So we're going to read through a couple of quotes and see what we make of them. So the first one, he praised the club for their summer window and defends Tottenham's transfer spending. And he says, the club have been great. They closed very important players. I think we have not finished yet. Okay, we've spent some money, but other clubs have done the same or more in the past. And to compete in the Premier League, you need first-level players. So, yeah, he's obviously going to be backing up his transfer business so far.
But yeah, and I think he's spot on. I think this is what I was saying when he was talking about, when he was asked about if there's pressure on him and because of all the money we spent. But the reality is this hasn't had to happen. Like, we're catching up to these other teams who've spent previously lots of money. Even this summer, they're going to be spending lots of money. So us spending this money isn't us being like, okay, we're now like really pushing the boat out. We're really, I mean, it is because we haven't done it before, but it's also just playing catch up a bit as well to the other teams. And if we're going to play catch up and close the gap, we had to spend this money to give ourselves a fighting chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, look, the reality is we've spent all this money and we still need to spend so much more money
probably to double it.
To even like be considered in the conversation with these kind of clubs. So hopefully, he says the business ain't done yet, and I'm sure they're trying
That's
to
what we
get
want to
players
hear.
over the line. So look, it's not the first time he said that. He said that multiple times, and we just need to see the players come through the door because the season is very soon. He also says we need to find the conditions to build a strong team, a stronger team than last season, and to compete again for the top of the table. So that's clearly where his ambitions are at, to get Spurs competing right at the top.
Look, he's an ambitious guy. He won't look at the 17th last season and think... And I don't think he'll be thinking like Frank was thinking, like, oh, 17th, you know, oh, you got to remember that, and reminding us all the time. He's going to be wanting to shoot right to the very top. That's the kind of character he is. He's not aiming for anything other than right at the very top. Even if, you know, obviously he wants to sign players and stuff, but he backs himself. He's a confident guy, he's an ambitious guy, and he's going to want Tottenham right back in that conversation in Champions League straight away for sure.
Yeah. And the reality is, if we carry on spending this money in the forward line and get the players that we want before the end of the transfer window, we should be in that conversation. We should be competing for Champions League. You can't spend all this money and then have another mid-table finish. You know what I mean? We have to be in that conversation.
Yeah, if we can get those three attackers that we'll want, then 100% we should be in that conversation.
He says the ambition of the owner of the club, the board and the people who decide behind me are very important and very high. So
they're ambitious. I mean,
in talking about the ambition of the Lewis family, Vinay, Johan, all these people.
Yeah, it's important to remember he is talking about his bosses here, so he's going to be obviously talking them up. But this is their first summer. They've been spending money. We need to spend more, but they have put their money where their mouth is so far. So I've got very little. I know I've been unhappy, or well, not unhappy. I've been worried about the attacking players. You know, whether they're coming and what's going on with that. But right now, if you're still asking me right now how happy I am with the window, I'm still very happy, and I'm still happy with the business we have done. Obviously, I'm concerned about the business we haven't done, but the window's not over yet. So I'm just worried about what the links currently are and how reactive we currently are being. It seems we're being anyway. So that is a bit of an issue. But in terms of the business we have done, I couldn't be happier in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, what would really frustrate me if, like, we get to the end of the window, we haven't got the players that we want. That would obviously be the main frustration. You can just see it now, you know. At the end, Vinay goes, oh, yeah, but we broke our transfer record twice in the same window. You can't do everything that you want to do. This is a long-term project and everything like that. Like, I've heard all that crap before. You know what I mean? So,
and then you get Spurs other fans and saying, "Oh, you're spoiled. Well, what did you expect? You've spent all this money and you're still not happy. You're going to get all that stuff."
The reality is, if we're a serious club, you don't go in to the new season with an attacking lineup like we have done in previous years. And if it stays the same, it's lower half of the table quality. That's what it is, and that's not what our ambitions are, or not what our ambition should be. So, if the window ended tomorrow, this transfer window has been nowhere near good enough. That is the reality. Roberto De Zerbi reveals he's determined to change the recent Premier League finishes. He says, "We live for our fans, for our club, to make our fans happy. We work to make our fans happy. It's a big challenge because 2 seasons in a row in the bottom of the table, and we want to change that situation."
Yeah, and I think that's what we all want.
Yeah.
I think that's obvious. Last 2 seasons has been a disaster from that point of view. We should never have been battling down where we were, especially over the last 2 seasons. So that needs to change very quickly, and I think we got the perfect manager for it.
Yeah, I agree. De Zerbi says the quality of player is not enough to compete at the highest level. He says, "I love the players who play with pride to wear the shirt and pride to stay in Tottenham, because the quality of players are not enough. If you don't put something more, something of yourself, something you feel inside of you, it's very tough to compete with the top teams in the world." And that is so spot on. I couldn't agree more with that comment, to be honest, because we've seen so many times, we've had so many fights about players and this and that, about, look at Ndombele, for example. Ndombele is a prime example of it, isn't he? Because that guy had all the quality in the world, all the technical ability in the world. What a player, if you just look at the player. But if you don't have the mentality to match it, then you're a terrible player. That's the reality. Yeah. That's for certain.
Yeah, I agree. I would say when it comes to that, I think obviously you need players who are hungry, who want to be at Tottenham, who want to give their best every day, who are passionate, who really care. And I think definitely over the past at least 6-7 years, definitely since the Poch days, there's just been a lot of players coming through, not bad players necessarily, but players that just haven't had that fire, players that haven't had that burning ambition. They're here, obviously they're trying, but I'm not saying they're not trying their best, but are they really passionate about being at Tottenham? Do they love being here? Are they passionate about making us the best we can and giving their all for the team? And I think there have been a lot of question marks about a few players ever since, over the last few years, ever since you saw it with that Poch team. There was just that fire there, wasn't there? And there was every game, the Battle of the Bridge was a prime example. Even if we go down, we go down swinging, and we have just been so meek over definitely the past 2 years, in the Premier League, been so meek. We've just been so feeble. Even when we've gone down, even before the game, there's just so many games you can just know what's going to happen, and then it happens, and we just lose easily. And it's just been so hard to watch, and it's been so horrible. So hopefully those days are gone now.
Yeah, so many players like that we've had over the years at Tottenham, because when we've signed players, we just haven't drilled into the mentality side at all when kind of recruiting players. Moani was another one. That quote that Moani came out with yesterday, basically saying what everyone was thinking at the time. How many times have we sat here and said, this guy's heart is not in it? Mm-hmm. This guy has been a disgrace for the majority of times he played for Tottenham Hotspur. And his quote said, "Tough year at Tottenham. It can happen in a player's career, but I admit I was distracted by my desire to return to Juventus. I'm happy to be back here." I mean, that just says it all, doesn't it?
So we had a player just basically waiting, so basically on a year holiday, so to wait so he can go back to Juve.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the kind of mentality we had in the dressing room. And you think he gives a shit if we went down last season? Not a chance.
Not a chance. Roberto De Zerbi speaking about the atmosphere in the dressing room about when he arrived at the club. He said, very tough, because there was a very tough atmosphere, very tough period of the season. The enthusiasm, the atmosphere was not good enough, especially if you consider Tottenham one of the most important clubs in the Premier League. And he has spoken about this in the past, didn't he, about after that Sunderland game, just people sitting down crying, not a positive atmosphere at all, which, I mean, you can understand to a certain extent after them having to sit through Thomas Franklin, sit through Igor Tudor, sitting at the bottom of the league or in the relegation zone as well. But De Zerbi came in and changed that.
And it's easy to forget, how, resigned everyone was to kind of relegation before De Zerbi came in. Everyone was saying when De Zerbi came in, the narrative was his football's never going to work. He's not even going to be here next season. He's going to, if he relegates, he's going to leave, all this kind of stuff. And we were losing game after game. And the way he turned that ship around, he got us playing even just to a semi-competent level was a minor miracle at the time, considering the level of injuries, the form we were on. Everyone seemed to be, just in a bad way. In the confidence was drained out of this team. The belief was completely gone. And I don't know how he did it. He somehow turned it around, and it was a miracle. He doesn't get enough credit for me for what he did last season. I know we've kind of moved on from it, and now we're looking in the future. But last season was a miracle.
Yeah, it really was. Do you think he actually would have stayed if we got relegated?
I mean, he said he would. Yeah, I think he would have. I actually think he would have in the end.
I don't know if he would have. I think he kept saying it because I think he wanted the players to believe in something to look forward to. But
then again, I do kind of think he says things to the media to play the game a bit. So I agree with that.
I think maybe he won't be here. He wouldn't have been here if we got relegated. But anyway, we're in the Premier League and he is here.
But as I've said a few times with Zerbi, it kind of doesn't matter if it's true or not. What matters is if the players believe it. Yeah. That's kind of what matters. That's what makes the difference.
But he was also speaking after Mickey van der Ven signed his contract, which we didn't bring in the Tottenham update, so I thought I'll just mention it now. And he said that Mickey is one of the best centre-backs in Europe and an important player for us. He has the qualities, mentality and ambition that we want at Tottenham Hotspur, and I'm very happy that he's decided to continue his journey with the club. We are building something strong here, and players like Mickey are an important part of that future. His decision to sign a contract shows his belief in what we're creating together. Absolutely spot on. And I think with that contract as well that Mickey's got, he's definitely going to be a vice captain, or maybe even captain. Could he be the captain?
Could he be? I would think if they were going to give him the captaincy, they probably would have announced it with the contract. That's the feeling I get. I could be wrong. So I feel like he probably won't be, but I think with the amount, I think Maddison is probably going to play this season. He could be well be the captain for the majority of games. And obviously he's captained Tottenham now a number of times, especially last season. I thought definitely at the start of last season when he had those games he was captain, I thought he did quite a good job. So I think he's becoming more vocal. He's taking on more responsibility in that back line. I think for a lot, when he first came, I felt like he was kind of like this quiet figure who obviously was under Romero's wing, and Romero was mostly taking the lead in that point, and obviously he was the captain, and Van der Ven would just be that kind of that safety blanket, that protector. But I think definitely last season, I know last season didn't go well, but I thought you saw a different side to Van der Ven.
Only when Zerbi came in.
I think at the beginning of the season as well.
At the beginning, yeah. But there were periods in the middle where he was captain and he just wasn't wearing that armband with pride at all.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. And I think he got that back under De Zerbi. That's right. But I thought there were times at the beginning of the season where I thought he was getting the captain's armband and he was showing that little bit more responsibility.
I kind of really noticed that leadership ability at the end of the season. I think that's where you saw it at its peak. All right, next up, he's talking about where his playing style comes from. And he says, my style comes from Barcelona in 2010 and 2009, the Barcelona of Pep, because that Barcelona was a school, another school for another part of football, as a style, as a principle, as a new idea of football, keeping the ball, rotation of the players, not fixing positions on the pitch. That's what we're going to be seeing next season.
Come on. We're going to be seeing prime Pep, prime Barcelona. I guess the difference with them is he had Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, and whoever else in their team, and we don't quite have that. So it's not going to be as easy for us to be playing prime Pep ball as Barcelona. But I do love that. I think that's obviously most people, all the football purists, when they think of the ultimate football, the old that Pep Barca team was just like, I have never seen a team in my lifetime control games and just knowing they're going to win. Like you watch them now, there's just no chance that team just doesn't win. They'll literally have like 90% possession of the game. The opposition would barely have a chance, and then they would just like absolutely just ticky-tacky their way through your defence. What I would say about that quote is obviously that was a while ago. Football, I feel like, has not moved on, but has adjusted to that quite a bit, and football's in a different space right now. Like a lot of different things are winning at the moment than that kind of football. I think tiki-taka had its kind of era. I'm not saying it's dead or anything, but I'm saying that kind of football is like, people have studied it, people have gone over it with a fine-tooth comb, and now people know how to play against that kind of football a lot more now than they did back then. So I think obviously saying, hey, I took inspiration of it, I'm sure he's put his own spin on it. And as I said before with Zerbi, he's one of the more revolutionary coaches within himself. So I love that that's his inspiration, and I love that he's like kind of put his own take on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's one thing is never a carbon copy of something else, particularly when you're talking about tactics and football. If you're a very good manager, and De Zerbi is a very good manager and an extremely good tactician, so it's great to hear that he's taken principles from that kind of football. And like you said, you know, he'll put his own spin on it, he'll evolve it, and also when he sees something's not working, he's not like he's just going to persist with it and that's it. I felt like a lot of the time that's what maybe Ange would do, like the same kind of football, and if it wasn't working, he would just keep going again and try and make it work. De Zerbi won't do that. I think if De Zerbi sees something not working, he will change something.
Yeah, I think he's very adjustable. He's much more adjustable. And I think Zerbi and himself, there are now coaches out there coming into the game who have taken principles from what De Zerbi has done. And that's the kind of level he's at as a coach.
He was talking about last season, about the style of play, and he said last season was a very important job, but not tactically, more to give some simple organisation and give some principles. And now the work starts. Now we are working to reach a clear style of play, a clear organisation on the pitch. And I felt like during pre-season, you might have seen like maybe 5 or 10% of it, and you saw like little things in pre-season.
And we were blown away by them. Sorry, I was thinking about that back end of last season.
No, I'm talking about this pre-season.
Pre-season has been elements, yeah.
There's been a few elements of it, but still, there's still so much more that we can do and a long way to go.
But I would say, like, at the back end of last season, like, we would see, like, 2-3 players put a couple of combinations
just
together.
One pass.
Like, oh my God, we can actually play football. Like, actually, we're not that as bad as, you know, as we think. Like, what we had to put up with under Frank and Tudor, and then literally just seeing players put a few passes together was like all of a sudden revolutionary and incredible. So yeah, I think definitely you've seen improvements on that in pre-season for sure. I think we definitely keep the ball better. Our build-up looks better. I think the way we play through midfield is better. We're having even more possession. But obviously, what's letting us down at the moment is just the quality in that final third just isn't there at the moment. So we need to obviously improve that. But I think you're seeing improvements, big improvements in pre-season.
Yeah. It's just like we've never seen build-up before. Not for a long time anyway. De Zerbi speaking about the summer signings so far, and he says not just Sandro Tonali being the most important player in the transfer market we signed, but because Van Hecke or Marcus Senesi or Robertson or Mateus Fernandes, even if he is very young, but all these players are very important to bring more qualities for sure. So obviously just speaking up the players that he's bought.
Yeah, and as we've said, I think all of the signings have been in De Zerbi's image, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're all very much geared towards playing the kind of football De Zerbi wants to play, so it's perfect.
He's talking about what a successful season would look like at Tottenham in this coming season, and he says, I would like to see our team with courage, with passion, with pride to stay in Tottenham and to be happy to stay in Tottenham. I would like to see the players focused on making our fans happy because we play for our fans for sure. So I think many people, when hearing that question, would say, "Oh, I want to hear him say, well, we're going to win the league, we're going to win a trophy." But no, I think he's just saying we need to get the passion back first.
I mean, it's been so bad. I think those wins you got to take as well. But I'm sure internally, they'll be talking about, especially when he talks with the board, they'll be talking about, we need to be challenging here. We need to get back in Europe at the minimum, Champions League. Look, if we could have a similar season like as Ange's first season next year, I think that'd be a good season.
So what, fifth?
Fifth, that'd be great.
Fifth, and
obviously I would like a cup run as well. We didn't really have a cup run then.
We got to have a cup run this season.
Yeah, we got to have a cup run.
Get past the second round of the League Cup.
That would be a start.
And the FA Cup, what was it? Fourth round in that year.
Fourth round. We lost to City.
So yeah, it's got to be better in the cups. But that is the Roberto De Zerbi quotes that we've got.